A bald, tattooed guy with a microphone making millions laugh their asses off. He's a former fighter, a comedian, a podcaster extraordinaire. He's interviewed everyone from Elon Musk to Bernie Sanders, and he's not afraid to speak his mind. He's a hunter, a philosopher, a psychonaut. He's a walking, talking contradiction, and that's just the way he likes it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one, the only, Joe Rogan. Our story begins in the exotic land of Newark, New Jersey, where Joseph James Rogan was born on August 11, 1967. Little Joey was the son of a tough-as-nails Italian dad and a kind-hearted Irish mom. But when Joe was just 5 years old, his parents got divorced, and his dad decided to peace out and start a new life. Joe's mom, being the badass that she is, packed up and moved them out to San Francisco, where Joe would spend his formative years. It was in San Francisco that Joe found his true passion, kicking serious butt. He dove into Taekwondo, rising through the ranks to become a 4-time state champion. Joe was like a kid in a candy store, but instead of sweets, he was all about shattering boards and busting faces. The dude was a natural-born fighter, and he loved every second of it. But alas, all good things must come to an end. Joe started getting these nasty-ass headaches from all the head trauma he was sustaining in his fights. So, he decided to hang up his black belt and try his hand at something a little less concussion-inducing, college. Joe enrolled at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, but let's be real, he was about as suited for academia as a porn star is for a nunnery. He dropped out after just a few semesters and started working odd jobs to make ends meet. He was a driver, a construction worker, a martial arts instructor. You name it, Joe did it. But something was missing. Joe knew he was meant for more than just punching a clock and collecting a paycheck. He needed a creative outlet, a way to express himself and make people laugh. And that's when he discovered the wonderful world of stand-up comedy. It all started one fateful night in 1988 when Joe's friends convinced him to get up on stage at an open mic night. And holy shit, was he a natural. Joe had the crowd in stitches with his observations on life, love, and the absurdity of the human condition. He knew he had found his true calling. Joe started grinding it out on the comedy circuit, playing in seedy clubs and dive bars across the country. He was living the dream, if your dream involves sleeping on couches and eating ramen noodles every night. But Joe didn't care. He was doing what he loved, and he was great at it. It wasn't long before Hollywood came calling. Joe landed a gig on the sitcom News Radio, playing a wisecracking electrician named, you guessed it, Joe. He was living the high life, rubbing elbows with comedy legends like Phil Hartman and Dave Foley, smoking weed with Andy Dick, and generally just being a boss. But Joe's real passion was still martial arts. And in 1997, he got the opportunity of a lifetime when the UFC came knocking on his door. They wanted Joe to be their backstage interviewer, and he jumped at the chance like a starving dog on a pork chop. Joe was a natural fit for the UFC. His meathead charm and encyclopedic knowledge of all things fighting made him an instant hit with fans. He worked his way up the ranks, going from backstage interviewer to color commentator to full-blown MMA guru. Today, Joe Rogan is synonymous with the UFC. When you hear his voice, you know some serious ass-kicking is about to go down. But Joe's crowning achievement was still to come. In 2009, he started a little podcast called The Joe Rogan Experience. It was just him and his comedian buddies, smoking weed and shooting the shit about life, the universe, and everything in between. But something about it just clicked with people. Maybe it was the laid-back vibe, or the fact that Joe would talk to anyone about anything. He had scientists, politicians, artists, and weirdos on his show, and he treated them all with the same level of respect and curiosity. Joe wasn't afraid to ask the tough questions or call bullshit when he saw it. He was the ultimate truth seeker, and people loved him for it. Fast forward to today, and The Joe Rogan Experience is one of the most popular podcasts globally, attracting millions of listeners weekly. Joe has hosted a diverse array of guests, from Elon Musk to Bernie Sanders, and shows no signs of stopping. With considerable financial freedom, he's leveraging his resources to expand his podcasting empire. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing for Joe. He's had his fair share of beefs and controversies over the years. There was the time he called out Carlos Mencia for stealing jokes, or the time he got into a Twitter war with Ashton Kutcher over hunting. And don't even get him started on vegans. The man has a serious beef, pun intended, with anyone who won't eat meat. But through it all, Joe has remained true to himself. He's a straight shooter who tells it like it is, even if it ruffles a few feathers along the way. He's not afraid to admit when he's wrong or change his mind when presented with new evidence. In a world of fake news and political correctness, Joe Rogan is a breath of fresh air. So what's the secret to Joe's success? Is it his undeniable charisma, his quick wit, or his sick-ass spinning back kick? Honestly, it's probably a combination of all those things. But more than that, I think it's his authenticity. Joe Rogan is who he is, take it or leave it. He's not trying to be anyone else or fit into some bullshit mold of what a celebrity should be. He's just a dude who loves to learn, loves to laugh, and loves to get high and talk about chimps. In a world that often feels like it's tearing itself apart, Joe Rogan is the great unifier. He reminds us that we're all just monkeys on a space rock, trying to figure out this crazy thing called life. And maybe, just maybe, if we can learn to talk to each other and listen to each other like Joe does, we can make this world a little bit better. But enough of the heavy stuff. At the end of the day, Joe Rogan is just a hilarious, ass-kicking, weed-smoking machine. He's living proof that you can be successful and still be a complete goofball. And for that, we salute him. So here's to you, Joe Rogan. Keep doing what you're doing, my man. Keep asking the tough questions, keep exploring the depths of human consciousness, and keep making us laugh our asses off. Because in a world full of doom and gloom, we could all use a little more Joe Rogan in our lives. And who knows, maybe one day, in a post-apocalyptic world overrun by mutant zombies, we'll reflect on Joe Rogan's wisdom and think, that insightful guy really had a point. But until then, let's enjoy the journey. What will Rogan tackle next? How will his unique perspectives continue to shape conversations? Stay tuned to find out where this wild ride goes. Thank you for joining us on Fulton Draper. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more compelling stories and insights.